Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you're with us. I'm with my friends Jonathan and Sandy, and we are here to talk to you today about New Year, New You goal setting. We finally finished almost, knock on wood, the year of January. So we're getting ready to come into February. It's not too late to think about your goals for the year and where you are. So we are here to bring you some ideas that you can check out right away to help frame the rest of your year. So, as we get started, I will talk new teacher. And really, as we're talking, this is really great stuff for everyone. The first thing that came to mind when I was thinking of goal setting was one word 2024. I think 2020 might have been the first year that I used Flip really regularly, especially with the online learning that was happening. And they would always post a 1 year, one word 2024. And so that's when I really got into finding the word that really will frame and drive my intention for the year. And so when you have access to these slides, you can click and check it out. Flip has a topic already created that you can just add in and send to students. You can collaborate with fellow educators on this link as well, talking about your one word. And so as we talked as a group, we decided on our one words for the year. So mine is gratitude. I just more mindful of being grateful for all the things and really trying to see the positives and not let seeing the negatives rule my day. And Jonathan talked about being present. And I love that. I told him that was my word a couple years ago. And he said, that's been my word forever. He said, I need to figure it out. So it kind of made us laugh. But isn't that something we all need to focus on? Being present, being where we are in that moment. Sandy talked about evolving. And she put it really beautifully, just growing where you are, thinking of things that are, that you can actually accomplish, and growing from where you are and not worrying about where other people are, but really focusing on where you are. And then Marty, our awesome producer and thought partner, she said intentional and really, all of these go hand in hand, being thoughtful about what you're doing and when you're doing it. So I thought these were great words. I'm going to steal some of them for my future words if I can figure out gratitude. So anyway, check this out if you haven't already. It would be something great for you, but also for your students. And then as I was thinking about, when I am the most intentional with my goals, it's when they're kind of right in my face, when I am seeing them. There's a visual. It's keeping me accountable. So I was thinking of in a classroom, creating a physical place where students could post sticky notes or post papers with their current goals, and then they reflect. And it could be a daily reflection, a weekly reflection. When it's in front of us, we are going to be accountable to what is there. I thought about book creator. You can create class books in book creator. Maybe it's a goal book for, this quarter. Maybe it's a goal book for the rest of this year. Using Canva, they have an interactive whiteboard where students could update their goals and share with one another, and then just actual sticky notes, right? I have them littered all over my desk with my to-do list, but I probably need to start writing down goals because again, they'll be right in my face. So just a couple ideas for how to use visuals to keep yourself accountable. And then last night, as I was thinking of, man, what is another way to talk about goal setting and think about goals for myself? I just got on ChatGPT and I told ChatGPT that I wanted to run another marathon by October. And what should I do? What are some goals I should have? And these are just snippets of what it gave me. So 10 really great pieces of information, talked about diet and exercise and starting small. And I thought, man, what a great online collaborator to get me thinking about what I need to do to reach that goal. So this is how ChatGPT looked. And then if we go on to the next slide, I asked Microsoft Copilot the same exact question, and it gave me similar information, but still different enough. The format's a little bit different. You see some highlighting in there where they're bolding out some important tips. They even give you some words of encouragement at the end. It said, running a marathon is huge, small steps along the way, but you can do it. I thought, oh my gosh, that's nice. It's sending you words of encouragement. And at the end, it's giving you links, here's some other resources, what you should check out if this is your goal. I thought this was amazing. Microsoft Copilot is free. ChatGPT, the version I used the free version. I have heard that Microsoft Copilot is pretty superior even to the paid version of ChatGPT. So I highly encourage you to check it out. I could have been going on and on all night long typing things in because it was giving me such awesome information. So, Jonathan, I'm going to toss it to you. What do you have to talk to us about with goal setting?
Yes, and I have to echo, Copilot is far superior. It's actually GPT-4, so it's the most latest and greatest version of AI. And if you are using a free version, switch over to Copilot. It's way, way better. So hopefully you get to that upgrade. I'm just going to talk to you about a couple of different resources. The first one being a book that I have read several times, and every time I kind of have a different takeaway and a new application to my life. And this one is called Atomic Habits. It's been around for quite a while. It's by James Clear, and I highly recommend it. If you're interested in kind of getting a teaser of what it's like before you read it, there is a podcast that's linked in the slide deck to Rethinking. It's an Adam Grant podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to on my long drive to work every morning. But there's two big quotes from Atomic Habits that are that really resonate with me as I read. The first is, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. And I just love that, because so many times we have big aspirations for ourselves, but we sabotage ourselves by the different small decisions that we make. And then you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And systems are so important in what we do every day, from so many different standpoints in education, and making sure that those systems are clear and easy to follow are really, really important for us and for our students, so that they know what to expect in our day. So highly recommend this. Another big takeaway I love from this is never to skip something 2 days in a row as you're working towards a goal. So one of the things that happens in life is we get really busy. It's okay to skip it once, but once we skip it 2 days, we start to fall into that habit that is not getting us to that goal that we'd like. The next thing is a way to work with students in creating vision boards. So I love making vision boards. I do this every year and just kind of put different sections, personal life, professional life, and put together kind of my goals for the year in that way. So I just wanted to share a couple of tools that you could use to do this with students. When I do it with students, like to just say, here are the list of tools, choose the one that's your favorite, so that they have lots of opportunity to try different tools to figure out what works best for them. The first one is Canva. We love Canva. There's so many different ways that you could use Canva. There's great templates there, or students could start from scratch. Karisa also talked about that whiteboard feature where you could just start from a blank canvas. Google Slides is a great way to put together different slides for each of the different parts of our lives. It could be personal, professional, and each slide could be a little bit different. Karisa also talked about Book Creator, also one of my favorites. And then I also have used Padlet before and created the sections at the top and did a different post for each of the different things that I want to think about within Padlet as well. So there's many other tools that could get this accomplished, but these four are some of my favorites. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is something called the 25-5 rule for finding focus. And so many times I think we are in a place of we don't have time. There's not enough time in our day. There's so much going on. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes I think that I just don't have focus on what I need to accomplish also. So one of the biggest things for creating goals is to find that focus. So this is an article. It's linked in our one page, and it's also linked here, that kind of walks you through doing the 25-5 rule. The first step is to write out your top 25 goals. When I saw that number, I was like, that's a lot of goals to write down. But as I started writing, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't too bad when I think about all the goals for my career, my life goals, or specific aspirations that I have moving forward. From there, we narrow it. So we circle our top five. This was really hard to really think about what are the 5 things I really want to focus on. And then step 3 is to focus on those 5 and make the other 20 your avoid at all costs list. And I think this is where I've gotten in trouble is if I think about my big list and the ones that aren't my priority, I'm like, oh, I'll just work on those on the side. I'll do those when I've got extra. And that's when I start to lose focus in the work that I want to get accomplished. So that was a really powerful thing for me to think about is avoid these 20 things at all costs, get these 5 things taken care of, and maybe go back to that list after you've gotten through those 5 top priorities. And then you can start to add those back in to find that focus. That's all I have. I'm going to turn over to Sandy. Thank you.
Always great stuff. Always great stuff, and gets me thinking along the way. I really, Jonathan, I was thinking about that fall to the level of your systems part, and then also like Karisa's steps to meeting your goals. Like those go hand in hand. Like we set our goals, but then we don't have the systems in place to meet them. And what a cool idea of using AI as your thought partner, right? Because so often we're in our bubble by ourselves when we're setting goals, and to be able to have that almost companionship, that companion there to help set those goals so that you have your systems to meet it. I loved those. I love those ideas and so many other great ones. And so I wanted to talk about, today I'm really going to talk about special populations again, because I think we do a lot of goal setting within our classroom. And we have goals set for our kiddos and our kiddos set goals, but I want to talk more about some of those systems for specific special populations and then thinking about how that can really support all of our students. So one of them that I really thought about was IEP goal bins. And, you know, for our special education teachers, and we share our IEPs with our classroom teachers, there's a lot of hands that are a part of that IEP helping to help that child succeed. And so, you know, so often as an educator, I didn't know the IEP goal. And to no fault of anyone, it was just hard to get them out. And so one of the things with IEP goal bins is really setting up specific, strategic, targeted goal bins for a kiddo. So it's not like our classroom where we might have our working with words bin and we might have our sight words bin or our math facts bin. These are really set toward the individual child and their goals. And so what I really love about this is, like I said before, lots of hands are helping that kiddo. It takes a village. And so I can take that bin and I can give it to my support staff, and they can work on exactly what's in there, targeted toward that individual kid's goals. The data tracking measure can be in there. And I just think that takes away from the idea that all kids have the same goals. I'm a firm believer that we need to make sure we bring back the I in IEP, that individualized. And so this is one way to really help that. Another thing that I love is that it requires the student to be engaged with an adult. It's not just here's your bin, go work on it on your own. That's not the purpose of that. That is to give me the tools I need as an educator, as the support staff, to work with the kid to meet their individual goals. And so I have linked a couple of different resources. Each of these pictures is a link to somebody else that gives even more in-depth explanation on IEP goal bins. They've got great videos. They've got resources there on how to set up your goal bins. So I just think that that's a really important thing to think about when we're setting and supporting our students with special needs. So the next one, again, as we think about our students with special needs, you know, I love SMART goals. I love the different pieces to SMART goals. I think from the time I was 22 in education, we've talked about SMART goals, but I really enjoyed listening to Miss Shelley, where she was talking about, let's think outside of the box with this. SMART goals are great, but are they right for every kiddo? And a couple of things that she talks about is that there's more than one strategy for capturing the progress and growth. And she uses a great example of folding her laundry. And she said, you know, if you tell me to do it in a timely manner, that's not going to happen. And, you know, we can have these paths, but it's probably not going to happen. So she really wants us to think outside of the box on how can we recognize when a student meets goals. And so these are just some different points, but one of them I want to jump down to is like student work. You know, we in our classroom, we look at student work, those different pieces, project-based learning, but really thinking about how can we, for our students with special needs or our English language learners or our striving learners, how can we look at gestures and photos and stories and videos, their movement, to see if they met their goal? You know, not something we would typically look at, but if a kiddo is moving a certain way or they're interacting with another student, that's data that we can collect. And yes, it's not something I can grade, and it's not something I can use on a rubric, but can't I use those ideas of what that child is and where they're growing? That word that I mentioned, evolve, how have they evolved with their movement and their interactions with others? Another one, and I like I said, I have some different points, but the other one, the quote that I really like that she said too, it's in qualitative research, it's not quantity or frequency that you need to meet your goal, but the quality and complexity and number of ways. So really thinking again, how can we have a kiddo show their growth, show how they've evolved, in multiple ways, and really think about the quality of that data instead of the amount that we have. So, all right, and jumping to the next one. So again, this one is really looking at our English language learners, and I love it. It made me think about what Karisa was saying at the beginning with the class book of goals, because this is really about motivating and goal setting. And I am a cheerleader for getting excitement and celebrating kids in your classroom, celebrating through, you know, I was a cheerleader growing up, and I, you know, loved doing the tunnels and having the football players and the basketball players and the girls volleyball players run through the breakthrough tunnel. And we need to be doing that with our kids in our classroom. And even though this is about English language learners, it's really about all of our kids and celebrating their goals. And so with Karisa and her book, I thought, what a great way to celebrate and motivate, you know, with all of the kids and their information in the book. So Josh really talks about 10 points to think about. And so I just wanted to pull some of those out that really thinking about in sports, kind of what I was just saying, we motivate athletes. I just watched 2 great football games last night. And so, you know, that motivation behind them and the coaches pumping them up, but that doesn't happen as much as learning. So we want to make sure that we're pumping kids up, that enthusiasm is contagious. I know it's hard and I know it's a long day, but find that way to teach with passion, so that you can help kids meet their goals. Person in the mirror. I love this. Help the students see their future selves by reminding them that the person in front of them is going to achieve their goals. You know, let them know that you can do this, and keep building them up, remembering that their identity matters in and out of class. So really thinking about our English language learners and helping them remember who they are, where they came from, and where they're going. That's really important, and how they keep who they are as they evolve. And then the last one really just stood out to me, that boring people do boring things. Make your class fun, make it engaging. And I think about my most favorite teachers and my teachers that were maybe not my most favorite. And the ones that were my most favorite were the ones that made me want to come to class every day to meet my goals, because they made it fun. And so just remember that boring people, boring things, and same thing with our kids. Like, we want our kids to be excited, because truthfully, when they're not, the whole classroom just feels boring. So just some things to think about. And as usual, we would love your feedback. The QR code there is just a quick survey if you'd like to fill it out. Make sure you click on our playlist of all of our videos. We are so excited to continue on. I'm super excited about February. We're jumping out of the gray month of January, getting into the season of love. And so we're going to teach with the heart for February. So we hope to see you then. Make sure you connect with Jonathan and Karisa. And thank you for joining us. And as usual, make sure you share with us your goals, how you use goals in your classroom to meet all of your learners at Keep Indiana Learning on Twitter, on Facebook, all the different places. So thank you all. We'll see you in February. Bye.